I'm Kathy from Eclectic Images and welcome to Crafting with Kathy. This is the first one in a series of videos we're going to do working with the Versamagic chalk inks and Eclectic Images stamps. And this is because of some of the wonderful effects you can get with this particular type of ink. So the stamps that we're going to use today is the large Pear set, the Splatter and the Sketch Swirl. Now the large Pear set comes with a solid image and an outline image. So you can just stamp the outline and colour it in as you would normally, or you can use the two together and use the great sort of effects that you can get by using two images. So this, for the actual label of this, I've actually braided the ink onto this one from some Collider colour inks. So you can see how you can get lovely graduated ink colours on your solid stamp. We're not doing that today, but that's one thing you can do. These stamps were part of the early ones in our sets, in our whole range of stamps. It came from some that I hand carved. And then we decided to start the company Eclectic Images, and I thought, yep, those pairs have got to be part of it. So there's actually this set, which is the large ones. There's also a set with a couple of smaller pairs. We have other fruits and things, and also some of our flowers and our butterflies come with solid images and outline images because of the wonderful effects that you can get with that. The inks that we're using to do this is the Versamagic chalk inks. So for this one today, I'm going to go with the green tone. So I'll be using Spanish olive, tea leaves, and the soft sage. Now the beauty of these inks is that they are an archival pigment ink. They dry to a waterproof finish, so you can watercolour over the top of them. But they don't dry immediately on your stamp, so you can do lots of different effects with them. But they will dry on gloss card, matte card, textured card. You can use them on fabric, on leather, on wood. So they're fabulous inks to use. But I love them because of the effects. But you also find that they dry, because they've got the chalk in them, they dry to this lovely soft fresco-y look. So it's lovely and easy to get fantastic backgrounds. And as we go on, you'll see in this series of DVDs, using them through stencils and using them where we're going to be doing some backgrounds with these and then watercolouring over the top and seeing the benefits of having an ink that will dry waterproof. So there's fabulous stuff in store with what we're going to do with these ink pads. Today we're going to start off with our basic pairs and just create a fantastic background with the splatter, see how we go from there. So we're going to start off by stamping our solid pear. So I'm going to ink that up with the Sage ink. Now they're a nice squishy ink pad. Please don't ever get your ink pad and press it onto your stamp, or get your stamp and press it onto ink pad. You'll just end up with ink all over the place, wasting ink, and you don't get any better image. So just tap your ink pad across your stamp. Now if you just do a light coverage, you can get a really muted background effect. So you can see that if Matthew can zoom in on that one, and I've caught him in between cameras, if he can zoom in, you see how if I tried to ink a stamp with a dye ink, onto just the scrap paper here, a dye ink with that partially inking it would give me lines, whereas inking it up with the chalk ink, you can see how you get this soft graduation. So you can partially ink your stamp. That's a beautiful thing that you can do with these pads. But what we're going to do today is actually ink this background one quite thoroughly. So I'm going to go over till I make sure it's really inky. Now it's not going to dry straight away, so I've got time to play with it. I'm then going to get the Sketch Swirl. So have it clean and uninked. Oh look, he's spot on with the close-ups now. Thank you, Matthew, that's wonderful. And I'm going to place it on here. It's not fair if I catch him between cameras and expect a close-up. Place it on, give it a little twist, lift off. You can just clean it on your scrap paper. Place it on again, a little bit of a twist, lift off, see if there's any areas you want to add a little bit more. And you can see that's taken ink off our stamp. So now when we place it on the card without dropping it, press nice and firmly, lift up straight, and you'll see you get those wonderful patterns coming into our background image. Sorry Matthew, I was having trouble picking it up, so it was scooting all over the place. How fabulous is that? Now we could also go the other way in that you could ink up the stamp and you could actually apply another ink colour onto it with the other pattern stamp. So it can go both ways with that. We could also, with the chalk inks, we could, now here I'm going to go back to the scrap paper, Matthew, we could also ink up with our softer colour. And I said with the label, I actually braid on some colour, but with the chalk pads, we could just pat some on from another colour ink pad. Let's just add a bit of that in the next shade of green. And we've given it a two-tone look with it all just softly blending in together. So they're fantastic ink pads to work with. They also come, most of the colours come in sets of either 3s or 4 of coordinating colours. So you get a light blue, a medium blue, and then a darker blue. The same with the pinks, the purples, the turquoises, and then there's a few extra colours in between that as well. So it's really easy to choose what colours to put together. So with these ones, the sage, the tea leaves, and the Spanish olive just go fantastic. Now let me show you how we're going to build up some background with the splatter. So we're going to go back to the sage ink, and I'm going to use this part of, I'll just bring it into shot, Maddie. I'm going to use this part of the stamp first, the more dense part, and then we'll use more of the dots. So I'll use this with the softer sage ink. We're going to ink up that end of the stamp that has the more solid image, and we're going to start off on the edge of our card and then stamp in towards where our design is. Now I'm afraid this is a bit of a noisy technique, so Matthew's going to have to bear with me with the sound because we're going to be thumping it. So this particular stamp was actually designed to go with the chalk inks to be able to create these fantastic backgrounds. And I've tried it with other inks and it does work, but not as good as it does with these. So hopefully you can see that we're getting quite a nice motley background building up there. I'll now switch to the tea leaves ink pad and ink up the same area of the stamp, but this time I'm not going to stamp quite as far into the card. So we start off on the edge, but stay a bit more on the edge. So we start getting a graduation of colour building up. This works really great with shades of browns with the greens as well, something like the Sahara sand, and even some of the more yellowy tones like that straw, the cornucopia. Now the ink pads do come in both the large size that I'm working with and also a smaller dewdrop size. Now the dewdrop size is what you'll find on my website because most people prefer, or a lot of people prefer to buy the smaller size ink pad because it's easier to build up a range of colours that way. But I can certainly, if you can't find the larger ones on the website, I can certainly get those ones in for anyone who would like them. Now let's keep stamping. We're going to just give this bit of a wipe, just with my damp sponge. And now we're going to switch to the more open end and the deeper colour, the Spanish olive. But again, we'll ink it up and we'll start outer part and then work in as we've got a little bit less colour on the stamp, we work more into the middle. And this is going to add more of an open splatter. So you can see we're gradually building up this background colour. I don't know whether Matthew can get a nice close up so you can actually see that graduation of colour going through there. Okay, I'm putting away Spanish olive and we're going to need that one for our outline stamp. Now with the stamps that I make with the 2 layers, I do make the outlines quite sketchy usually. So that means if you don't line it up exact, don't worry about it. It's going to still look fabulous. So we're going to grab this one, ink it up with our Spanish olive, so tapping over the whole stamp, but just a tap, no pressure. And now lining it up over our previous image. Of course I'm trying to get it perfect because you're all watching, but it's okay if it's not spot on, it's all good. And there we go. Isn't he a jolly thing? I'm going to add a little bit more to this one though. Let's pick out, we're going to go with some browns or a deeper green. We might add some Jumbo Java, some of the dark brown into this. So let's grab our Jumbo Java and another stamp that I hadn't got ready to show you the actual stamp, but this is our webbing texture. I'll just stamp it out on the scrap paper so you can see it. It's a really good background pattern. So let's add a little bit of that in around here as well. You don't need to, just the splatter stamp's enough, but I just thought a little bit of something extra might look good. I should actually turn the stamp around so I get some of the pattern on the other end, because the pattern is different as you go around. And now I'm going to give a bit of a dusting with a brush. Not bringing it too far onto the card because I don't want to take away from the shading effect that we've got with the splatter stamp, but just deepening it off a little bit. So it's a very quick way of building up some colour and a background effect on your card and creating a really effective one layer card that's still got a lot of depth to it because of how much background colour we've picked up in there. Let me just move this out of the way and you can have a look at it there on the backing. And how gorgeous is that? We could then stamp, using either the Spanish olive or that Jumbo Java, we could stamp a greeting in here or down the bottom there, and that would be finish off to a beautiful card. I do love pears, there's so much you can do with them, and just the shape of them just works so well with our crafting stuff. Whether it's watercolouring them or brayering them or doing the chalk, they always look great. So thank you for watching. As I said, this is the first in our series with the chalk inks, so we're going to be working through using our quilt element stamp, some of our flowers, and certainly into doing some of our ladies' faces as well, which is going to be fabulous fun. So thank you for joining me on this one, and we'll be back soon with another clip using our Versamagic chalk inks and our wonderful Eclectic Images stamps. Okay,